Virtualized environments that create specific security challenges. Shaun, Donaldson, Director of Alliances, BitDefender. Tell us a little bit about that.
Basically, with security that's built specifically for virtualized environments, what we want to make sure that we're doing is re-architecting the security or applying security in a way that doesn't force us to make a trade-off between security and the operational benefits that organizations realize by virtualizing. So essentially, traditional security works wonderfully in traditional environments. There's been quite a cycle of getting there, of course. Now we need security that is architected for virtualized environments.
There was talk a few years ago, as this most recent virtualization boom was starting to take, about the space between the hypervisor and the bare metal being a particularly vulnerable area. Is that still the case?
So it's something that will always be there. It's something we should always be concerned about. But certainly in the wild, we haven't seen anything significant that would give us a worry there. At the same time, the virtualization vendors have done a good job. If we look at ESXi, they've really compacted what is in there and made that hypervisor very, very tight, if you will, so the exposure isn't very large in there. Now, of course, as security people, we always want to keep an eye on that, but I wouldn't see that as an area of concern, although we should always keep an eye on what's happening in the labs around the world.
I've never heard of a large vulnerability being exploited simply on the basis of something being virtualized.
That's correct. Right. That's correct. Absolutely.
What is the difference in how security is architected?
So for virtualized environments, essentially in a traditional environment, the anti-malware piece or the security mechanism, to make it more generic, would run within the operating system. And so you'd have a full client in there handling communication and doing all that it needs to do to protect that system. And essentially in virtualizing, what has changed is that mechanism has been pulled out of the individual operating systems and centralized, usually in a virtual appliance. So it's really following the tenets of virtualization, that you deduplicate, you centralize, and all of these other advantages, or where the advantages come from in virtualization. Security needs to be re-architected to do the same thing.
How would you say security for virtualized environments has matured over the last 4 or 5 years?
That's a really interesting question, because it has been a very quick maturation process. Essentially, if we look at the maturation of traditional security, it took quite a while, and of course security is always ongoing.
It's still growing up.
Exactly. We're still growing up. But that change to virtualization has been a far more rapid one, because the security mechanism, the underlying security mechanisms, are the same, and they're still evolving more or less independent of the architecture, whether traditional or virtualized, in which they're operating. So it's really been quick for some companies to move their technology onto that virtualized platform.
Shaun Donaldson, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.